Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? I am so happy to be with you online as you join us on this beautiful Sunday. I am Reverend Tracy Earlywine, and part of this community that is celebrating a sense of connection, even though we are spending our time apart. So thank you for joining us. Know if you're visiting us for the first time, you are welcome wherever you are on your spiritual path. We simply come together to remember how good life is and to support each other in that knowing. This morning, our practitioner is Pat Richards. She comes to us from the Harmony Center for Spiritual Living in Whittier. She'll be doing an opening invocation and a short reading to get us going. And I want to remind you, as always, that our practitioners are available to you for prayer support anytime. You can find their contact information on our website or in our email that comes out weekly. We look forward to being able to support you in prayer, in the knowing of your truth and in the healing of your heart, whatever it is that you need. So just to begin, I'm going to invite you to start, as we always do, by taking that deep breath, and right where you are, close your eyes and settle in. And simply allow the sound of the bowl to take you into that place of the heart. Breathing deeply and remembering that in this space of love, there is only oneness. This is a place of peace.
And right here, right now, in this amazing God-filled space, we know that God is. And here's what else I know for today. I know that we are all children of God. I know that we are a very strong, spiritual, loving community. I know that as we stand in our truth, that we take our power back today. And I also know that we've got this. So our actions, as we treat and we move our feet, here's our call to action for the week. Be kind. Be kind with your words. Be kind with your thoughts. Be kind with your actions. Know that you are a power and you are a force. And you are a living, breathing, God-infused child of God. And you are all, be kind, be thoughtful, be helpful. That is your truth to know this week. And I'm so grateful to be here, grateful to be of service, and grateful to know our truth for all. And please join me in saying, and so it is. My reading today is from Creative Thought. It's from August 2010. It's called, I Create My Life with God. God is my creator. Spirit is wide open in its embrace, welcoming me home with nothing less than divine, unconditional love. Universal Spirit is divine love, and I personify it as abundance, success, health, and harmony. I create my life with one life of God. There are no obstructions or blocks outside my own mind that would stop me along my path. I use my mind consciously to dissolve my perceived blocks. I use them as stepping stones, always moving forward on my spiritual path, knowing that infinite love holds me ultimately. I use the power of truth as my own power. I move around my world with an attitude of gratitude, blessing all that is good in my life. This sense of thanksgiving dissipates any obstruction. It is Spirit's nature to manifest my thoughts and my words and bring them forth from invisible substance. I release my word to one mind with complete confidence, knowing this word is the law in my world, and the law always says yes. For this I am grateful, and so it is.
Thank you. That was lovely. I wanted to mention before we started that this week we have a musical treat as part of our service. Dennis Bryan will be performing for us, and I'm looking forward to that, and I know that you will be too. So today, I'm talking about, here we go again, this idea that somehow we've managed to circle back and start this whole pandemic thing over. At least that's kind of what it feels like. And I was talking to Pat about it, and she was reminding me of when she and her friend Shannon ran the Spartan race that took place at Lake Tahoe. It was a world championship course. And, Tahoe's great for skiing, all those downhill runs, fast and furious and lovely and exciting, and really different if you are not wearing skis and you have to walk up the ski slope, carrying heavy objects and crawling under barbed wire and through mud and over walls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So she took off for the race and, all the way up the mountain, doing obstacles on the way, and across the top of the mountain, I believe there was a little frigid water swim at some mountain lake. Mind you, there's still snow on the ground around the edges. She talked about being several hours in and coming down the mountain, and she and Shannon kind of looked at each other and went, wow, they're kind of beat up and muddy and dirty, and this has been a lot, but we're okay. We did pretty good. And they get to the bottom of the hill, and they get to the bottom of the ski slope, and they realize that the trail continues on, and before them is a second mountain. And they looked at the people walking up the hill. Now, mind you, Spartans tend to run from obstacle to obstacle, do whatever's required, and then run to the next one. There was no running. In fact, she said it looked kind of like a zombie walk. People with their heads down, taking little steps, just trying to get up the next mountain. They weren't done. They weren't done yet. She said they got finally to the top and had to stop, she and Shannon. And there was a little bit of a breakdown and quite a bit of prayer work and a recentering before they took off to finish the course. And the minute they hit that next downhill, it was like, all right, that's it. We're getting off this mountain. And they did what was needed to get to the end and to finish. But that moment of standing at the bottom of the second hill when you thought you were done struck me as what this feels like right now. We had here in Southern California started slowly opening things up, and it had been a sense of exhale, a little bit of relief and release, and cautiously beginning to move about and do a few more things and enjoy ourselves in each other's company, although safely. And all of a sudden we're back to, sorry, we have to close all of these venues to keep us safe, to move us back towards health. And I know I'm disappointed and struggling with a sense of grief and loss and anger. Why are we doing this again? It's like, that kid in your class that would act out and then nobody got to go to recess? You remember that kid? That's what this feels like. Like there's some kid out there that just made it worse for everybody. We have to cancel our New York trip again. And it's just crushing. And I know for our community members and friends that we have that maybe aren't married or live by themselves or have compromised immune systems, they're much more restricted than some of the rest of us are. And I am concerned for them that this feels like yet another layer of isolation. But it's important to remember that we are not starting completely over. Although the emotional trigger feels very much like it did back in March, the truth is things are different now. I'm different now. You are different now. It's not quite as unknown as it was before. In other words, we've managed to figure out and learn how to get certain things done under these restrictive circumstances. We've figured out how to stay connected with each other, and we had managed to create a little bit of flow of life for ourselves, even under the restrictions. And so we're not starting from the beginning. We're really starting from where we are now. And as I began to lay out this talk, it occurred to me that the title isn't really Here We Go Again. The title is actually Here We Go Anew. Because that's what we're doing. We're stepping into a situation that looks familiar, but you know what I know? I know what we teach. We are not bound by the past. So although we have learned and brought forward things that we figured out, we are still at a point of beginning. And a point of beginning brings its own creative energy, and that is really what we're talking about today. The nature of life is to evolve. The nature of life is to become and to grow and to thrive. And what we, as part of that life, do is we adapt. So if you think about it, we have adapted. I know that if you're injured physically, your body adapts, right? So if you hurt your ankle, chances are down the road your knee might hurt because it had to compensate for the weak ankle. Your other muscles adapt to your different alignment and try to keep you upright. Same thing happens in our brain. If there's brain trauma, what we know from neurologists is that our brain has the ability to reroute functionality. So the damaged part of the brain doesn't actually come back. What happens is another part of the brain takes over. We have the ability to adapt. Now, when it comes to the pandemic, there are other ways of adapting. A friend of mine was telling me that one of the ways that she's adapted is that she hung hooks in her and her daughter's closet to hold the clean face masks. That's a form of adaptation. Something else that I saw that actually made me smile is that I can order a face mask in liturgical colors. That means I can order a face mask that matches my robe. Now, mind you, I don't wear a robe all that often, but for some denominations, having white or purple or black might make a big difference. So we adapt to wherever we are. And that process is evolution, and that is continuous. And what Ernest Holmes says in Science of Mind is that he reminds us that the spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward, not backward. Eternal and progressive expansion is its law, and there are no breaks in its continuity. There are no breaks in the continuity of evolution. So even though it feels like we might have taken a step backwards, we are actually still in the process of moving forward. Sort of like that graph you see on business diagrams where our income went up and then it came down a little bit and it went up some more and then it came down a little bit and it did this zigzag thing, but overall the trajectory is up. That's what we're doing here. The central quote for today is from Ralph Marston, and it says, "If you so choose, even the unexpected setbacks can bring new and positive possibilities. If you so choose, you can find value and fulfillment in every circumstance." Now, I know we're tired. I'm tired. I'm weary of having to manage things changing so much all the time. But I do know that when I think in terms of possibility, I'm actually opening the door to giving myself choices, and having the freedom to choose is energizing. Raymond Charles Barker was a contemporary of Ernest Holmes, and he writes specifically about possibility versus probability. Probability is that sort of law of averages. It's based on whatever happened in the past. It's sort of a it's kind of a downer as to what's probable. You know, you all have somebody in your life that tells you what's probably going to go wrong, right? Yeah. Possibility, on the other hand, is future looking. It's wide open. There's an infinite number of choices, and it's all about moving forward. And it's a mistake to use the past to hold ourselves back. If we think that what we knew then was all there was to know, we'd never progress. If we look to the past and think that that was the only way it could possibly happen, and that's probably what's going to happen again, then we're only limiting ourselves. Because we know from Science of Mind teaching that we are not bound by the past, and that freedom is our birthright, and freedom means there is a possibility of choice. Evolution implies that there are possibilities out there. In other words, we're going to change into something or become more of something. So learning to focus anew changes the energy around what appears to be a setback. There was a study done on change in the 1950s in manufacturing in factories, and the initial purpose was to find out how they could possibly increase productivity among the factory workers. And so one of the things that they did was they improved the lighting. So they changed the lighting, and sure enough, productivity went way up. They changed the lighting back, and productivity went up again. Now that's not logical at all, is it? You'd think better lights, I can work. No, it's the change itself that activates the energy in our life. Now sometimes the change feels like it sucks the energy right out of us, especially when it's unexpected. It's not obviously our choice. It affects us in ways we can't control. But the actual process of having to be creative to live in the moment that you're in now and find a way back to your center is actually energizing. And I think we can take something home with us from that. This idea that if I can refrain from thinking of this setback as something that's going to hold me back, then I am more able to see possibilities in front of me in spite of my disappointment, right alongside of my fear of the unknown. I'm going to be able to activate the part of me that gets inspired, that stays connected to the one mind, that divine intelligence which lives in here and which I sometimes forget I have access to. Raymond Charles Barker also talks about the work of the scientist. He says you're your own scientist. You are the only thinker in your thought experience. You are the only emotion in your emotions. As the scientist works at the point of possibility, he reaffirms his goal and works towards it. Now, he may be discouraged 1,000 times. Every experiment may come out wrong, but he goes right back and redoes it. He merely goes back and says, something is wrong, and I'm going to do something different because the thing that I want to prove is possible. And then he proves it. Anything is possible, even if it isn't probable. Get rid of the probable, and it will be possible. When you deal with how to change, you are in possibility consciousness. If I work at the level of possibility and hold on to it, then the world around me has to change as the world within me changes. This is the great law of mind. So we are in a place where we have a choice to think about what might be possible, to step away from what seems probable. All the doomsday stories, it says we're going to be doing this shutdown again for another 3 months, and nobody's ever going to get out of the house, and I'm never going to see my family. I mean, that whole part of us that just goes to the most drastic, difficult way things could go out of our fear. And instead, realize that even here we are creating, and I am choosing to know that in some ways things are going to be easier this time. that there is a possibility that a great change could happen unexpectedly and help us all. That there are ways to move and live and express that are positive even in this situation. This evolution is all about expansion, and it is continuous. So what are you expanding in this moment? Are you expanding your ideas? Are you looking to expand your perspective? Have you been able to use some of this time to expand your knowledge about something? Have you learned something about yourself? Because that's where the real power is, to know the truth of yourself. The word expand means to spread out from. I want to spread out from the part of me that knows love. I want to spread out from the part of me that loves knowledge and learning and becoming and growing into. I have that possibility of expansion no matter where I find myself. Now, the thing about expansion is that it includes contraction. It's like our breathing. You know, there's an outward and an inward flow. One follows another. In fact, one would say one is inside of another. And a good description of that is the Tao symbol for the yin-yang. You all know which one I'm talking about, right? It's a circle, and it shows a white section with a curvy line and a black section. Inside the white part of the symbol, there's a drop of dark. And inside the dark side of the symbol, there is a drop of white. It's a symbol of change. And what most viewers forget, according to God's Dictionary by Susan Corso, what most viewers forget is that the symbol, while printed and static, actually represents motion. It's the depiction of the interplay between expansion and contraction. We seem to feel in the West that bigger is always better. Perhaps, unless you're talking about a virus, in which case bigger may not be better, right? Expansion is about spreading out our minds, our ideas, our expressions, our influences. And the trick to living through expansion is to prepare for contraction, because contraction is contained within expansion and vice versa. In other words, one always follows the next. To contract, which is what it feels like we just did, to pull in, is part of that ebb and flow that we see in the tides, that we see in our breathing. It's part of nature. There's a rhythm, right? And Susan Corso quotes Anne Morrow Lindbergh, who says, "We have so little faith in the ebb and flow of life, of love, of relationships. We leap into the flow of the tide and resist in terror its ebb. We're just sure that once it starts to go away, it's gone forever. Instead of remembering that once it ebbs, it will once again flow." When we look at the word contract, it's the same spelling as the word contract. Contract is what two people do to make an agreement, right? And it's a pulling in of two things together. So what if contraction, in this case, meant that we were pulling back into ourselves so that we might prepare again for expansion? Because expansion will come. Things will reopen. We will re-engage face-to-face. We will have opportunities to rebuild our businesses, to reconnect with family and friends. It's the rhythm of life, and we are that life. So there isn't a need to despair, although it may be a momentary feeling, because we know that ultimately life flows, and so do we. So let's remember who we are. Let's remember that we really are children of the Most High God, that this spiritual nature of life is in and as us, and that this evolution of life, this movement, is continuous, even for us, even here, even now. Let's remember to be curious. Jane Beach is a minister, a science of mind minister, and she wrote a little blurb about curiosity, which we talked about a week or two ago. Curiosity invites me to get involved with life. Quantum physics explains that everything is energy, waves of possibility until observed. And then the waves collapse into particles and form is created. Now, if I fret about what's wrong, I'm collapsing more negativity into form. If my focus is on gratitude, I'm collapsing more goodness into form. And she says, I checked it out in my own life. It's true. And you know, if a minister says it, it's true. So we have this ability to remember truth beyond what else we're seeing. It's not that this isn't hard, or we aren't disappointed, or that this is creating financial havoc for people. All of these things are happening, and at the same time, that truth, that love, that peace, that life within us will not be denied. We are both. And love, as we know, always wins, always heals, always brings us up to that next level. So we are going to get through this. We are going to grow through this. And as we love through this, we live through this, we will find that we are going somewhere again anew. Namaste. So let's pray. Paying attention to that ebb and flow of the breath. Not changing it, just noticing how the breath moves in and the breath moves out. And most of the time this is happening without even our awareness. How good it is to be reminded of the flow of life right here where we are physically in our own bodies. How good it is to pause and remember that all of life breathes, that this ebb and flow of the tides, this rhythm of life in the seasons, these examples of life moving, expanding and contracting and expanding again, continuously evolving and becoming and transcending, that this is who we are. At our core, at our essence, this energy of life is us. And so from this place of awareness, I speak my word for the power of love to heal. I claim and call forth my own awareness and the awareness of others around me to remember that the energy of life is for us. It is for more life. So that what we do and what we dream and what we are inspired by will lead us on that upward spiral. That we are continuously being pulled forward into our greater yet to be. And how good it is. How blessed we are. I claim and know for myself, for everyone here, for friends and family beyond this group, claim and know that the truth and energy of life is everywhere present, that the workings of spirit are happening right where they are, right where we are. And because life is present, love is present, kindness is present, compassion is working. We are energized by the changes, expected and unexpected, blessed in ways we cannot even imagine and that we may not know yet, but we will. For I know that life moves us forward and moves all of life forward in ways that are for the highest and best. And so in gratitude for this and so much more, simply allow this life to continue unfolding in space and time, holding in my mind that picture of perfect evolution, of the continuous flow and ebb and flow again of the energy of all life through and as me, through and as each one here, through and as all of life, right where we are, right now, and only for the good, for it is all God. And I release my word into this law, into this mind that is all-powerful, all-knowing, to simply have its way with us, that we might see something greater than we can even imagine. For in God, it is good, and so it is. Stay.
Hi everyone, it's Dennis Bryan. I came to share a song with you that Michael Gott wrote, one of my favorite artists and human beings, and it's called There Is Only Love. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes to see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear spirits say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
So our affirmation today is all about possibility. So I invite you to repeat after me. Today, I know life's possibilities are mine to use. There are no setbacks in spirit. And so it is. Okay, so we are looking forward to seeing you Wednesday night on our Zoom session. You know, every Wednesday night at 7. There is a Zoom link in our e-blast and on our website or on Facebook so that you can join us for a conversation about spiritual works and see the faces of your friends from our community. So do join us for that at 7. If you'd like to do a little meditation before that, there is a conference call phone number where you can dial in with Nisa Burrows, and she will do a meditation for you at 6:15. So both of those things happening on Wednesday nights. Now, I will say that it is looking less likely that we will be able to reopen, to re-meet in person on August 23rd. We have not set any kind of new date yet. We really are simply looking at the data as it comes in, wanting everyone to be safe, wanting to be able to create an environment that feels welcoming and safe for everyone. So we will keep you posted. I have had a couple conversations with our board members about specific events that are coming up. So I know I keep teasing you with this, but I promise we will set a date and there will be a way for you to get together with some of your friends at a safe distance outside doing something fun. So stay tuned and we'll let you know what that is. Thank you again to our production team for helping us put all of this together, to Jeff for doing the and integrating the music and all of the things that he does at our end, and to Ray and Reverend Jennifer for hosting us and having all the equipment here to begin with. I want to thank Pat for coming from Whittier and being with us every single week. My practitioners have mentioned that they realize what it's like to be on platform every single Sunday, so kudos to Pat for showing up every single Sunday. And I want you to know that I miss seeing you. I miss speaking with you. Please call me, text me. My number's everywhere. It's on the website. It's in the e-blast. Give me a ring. If I haven't reached out to you, it could just be I don't have your phone number. So do give us a call. Make sure we stay connected. And remember that you are loved.